I don't have your video. If you can.
Hello.
Yes, now everything is okay. And thank you for being with us. Thank you for accepting our invitation and hope to see you more often. Dr. Olsi Jazexhi, first let us know about yourself. You are a historian, yeah?
Yes, I'm historian. I deal with the history of Muslims and Islam in the Balkans.
Okay. Of course, Iranian are familiar with the MEK Mujahideen and can make their own judgment. But what did the Albanian make of MEK when they arrived in their country? Let's ask you to see what happened and how Albanian get involved with Mujahideen.
Well, Albanians, they had very little information about MEK until 2016, when the Obama administration, probably as part of their nuclear deal with Iran, they dumped the Mujahideens from Iraq to Albania. In 2016, the situation was very hot in the Balkans. We had many European Muslims who were radicalized by Saudis, and they were sent to do jihad, violent war against Syrian government. So at the moment when our security services, they were engaged with the European Muslim radicals who had gone to fight against a foreign country. And at the moment when the Americans pushed our governments here in the Balkans to change their laws and to fight the process of radicalization, suddenly in the news, it was the time Secretary of State John Kerry, there was an announcement in February 2016 that Albania had agreed to host 3,000 Iranian Mujahideens. In that time, our public was afraid and was shocked to hear this because, I mean, we were already faced with Daesh or ISIS or Jabhat al-Nusra jihadis. And now suddenly we were going to receive some Iranian terrorists. In that time, I started reading about MEK and who they were. And I took part in a number of TV discussions here as an expert and advising our government to not take these people in. But it was a done deal. We have a very corrupt government here, headed by our Prime Minister, Edi Rama, who he has been installed in power by Soros and the Americans. And because of this, he cannot do anything against what Americans tell him. Because the situation of Albania today with the Americans is somehow like the situation of Iranians in the time of Prime Minister Mossadegh, where Americans were controlling almost everything in Iran. Anyhow, the coming of the Mujahideens, even though our people were horrified by their coming, and almost all the media outlets started attacking our government, Americans imposed them, and there was no referendum on Albania on whether we should take them or not. So they were dumped in Albania, and our government claimed that Americans were going to give them money and other stuff. So in a way, they forced themselves into the Albanian society. However, from 2016 to 2018, The Mujahideens, in a way, kept a very low profile in the country. The propaganda that was made in this time was that they were victims of the Iranian government, that these people were nice and innocent people, and they simply needed a humanitarian shelter, like we have many Afghanis, Iraqis, Syrians, and Palestinians here. So from 2016 to 2018, MEK kept a very low profile. However, what happened with us was that in 2018, I think in June 2018, we had one Canadian family, the family of Mustafa Mohammedi, who had come to Albania to meet their daughter, Sumaya Mohammedi, who has been taken from Toronto, Canada, since when she was 17. MEK became crazy and very hysterical by the presence of this Canadian family. And they were pushing Albanian Ministry of Interior and government to do anything to expel these people from Albania. They started paying different media outlets who were willing to accept their money and telling to them that the Mohammedi Canadian family, they're agents of Iran and they have come here to kill the Mujahideens. My wife, who is a lawyer, was contacted by the Mohammedi family. We met them and we saw that they were some fine old people who simply want to see their daughter and beg their daughter to go back to her family in Canada. MEK made everything in its power and did not allow even the Albanian police and Albanian government to have access to Sumaya Mohammedi. They did not allow this poor brainwashed girl to go out in public to meet her mother and father, but they were publishing all kinds of lies and slander and crazy stuff against this mother and father, and they didn't allow even for a second this girl to go out and meet her mom and dad. They were writing letters on behalf of Sumaya Mohammedi, and they were sending these letters to the media, and they were claiming that my mom and dad are agents of mullahs. They have come here to take me and to make me a sex slave for the mullahs of Tehran. Crazy. This Canadian family wanted simply to tell to their daughter to go home, to finish a university degree, to get a job, to get married, to have a life like her two brothers and sisters had in Canada. Her sister was working with Air Canada. Her brother, who was hostage of MEK in Iraq, was an engineer. Her other brother was an electrician. So they were a very fine Canadian family. Albanian public was shocked. Most of our TV stations who were not bought by MEK were shocked to see how we were faced with a hostage situation. Mariam Rajavi and her jihadist gang, who had established in Albania a paramilitary camp, were keeping their members as slaves. For people who probably do not know the structure of MEK, MEK is separated into high jihadi commanders and poor, simple jihadi soldiers. These soldiers, who are the majority, they are not allowed to contact the outside world, to talk to their mothers and fathers. They are radicalized to day and night yell for the victory of Massoud and Mariam Rajavi, and to pray for doing a jihad or a crusade against Iran. Our public was shocked to learn the story of Someh Mohammadi, but later on we discovered that inside the MEK camp there are thousands of slaves that Mariam Rajavi keeps them in total isolation. They do not have phones. They're not allowed to speak to their families in United States, in Germany, in Canada, in Iran, or wherever. These people, they have no money, they have no pensions, but they're being kept day and night in the military barracks of Camp Ashraf or Camp of Manza, and they pray day and night for war. Now, according to the Albanian Penal Code, if you make calls for war against a foreign country, if you train and organize, if you do propaganda for doing war against a foreign country, you are immediately arrested and sentenced from 10 to 15 years as a terrorist. What we found out in 2018 was that MEK, which is a very secretive cultish organization, is or was running a paramilitary jihadi organization in our country. They had their own laws and they didn't obey to Albanian laws. They could torture, isolate, punish their soldiers, and moreover what we discovered was that Albanian courts, Albanian police were taking orders from the Albanian Ministry of Interior, and our Interior Ministry was taking orders by the American embassy here in Tirana not to touch the MEK. In 2017, 18, 19, we had many Western media outlets who came to Albania, and they tried to interview MEK. Mariam Rajavi and her military command, they didn't allow independent foreign journalists to enter in the camp and to interview its soldiers. Journalists from the British Channel 4 were even beaten by MEK. On the other hand, we discovered that during this time, some MEK soldiers managed to escape from the MEK camp. And when they were escaping, they were telling to the world very horrible things. They were speaking about torture, brainwashing, about Mariam Rajavi, and before that her husband Masoud, who were depicting themselves as some kind of holy people, as some kind of God or Imam Mahdi to these poor soldiers, and who were telling to these people that they had to go in Iran and to kill the mullahs and to liberate Iran. And these people who were inside this camp for the past 20 to 30 years, they were so primitive, so outdated, as it was unimaginable for us people who live in the free world. We have met people who, when they have come out of the camp, they didn't know how to use a smartphone. We have seen people who haven't seen horses in their life, who haven't seen goats in their life. People who, for the last 30 years, have been living in a kind of prison, which is run by Mariam Rajavi. And these people were psychologically so weak and tortured. What we discovered was, it is like in those fiction movies. If you have seen movies with cults coming from a different era where humans are being experimented as guinea pigs. This is what we discovered from these people. And what is more scary was that whenever Western foreign journalists, people even like me, or even like you, Mr. Parsa, try to question and to investigate what is going on, inside this horrible cult, immediately under the historical orders of Maryam Rajavi, every journalist, be them working for the BBC or for Channel 4 or for the New York Times or what have you, everybody was accused as being an Iranian agent. For your viewers, I just want to remind them that after we finish this interview, all of us are going to be personally attacked by the Mujahideen command. Now, Maryam Rajavi claims that she wants to bring democracy in Iran. Personally, I have challenged Maryam Rajavi that if she wants to bring democracy in Iran, first, she must democratize her cult and her members. I have continuously challenged Maryam Rajavi and her Mujahideen commanders here in Albania to come and face us, the Albanian civil society, and to explain to us why they keep hostages, why they break the penal code of Albania, why they make calls for war against foreign country, and moreover, why they have abused Albanian hospitality. When they were brought to Albania by the Obama administration, the general propaganda or excuse that the Americans who brought them here was that these people, they are some poor war refugees, which UNHCR brought them here, and they are brought here to find a safe haven because the Iranian government persecutes them. Very good. But what happened is that since the coming of the Trump in power in the United States, these people suddenly changed from some old men and women, ex-terrorists who were coming to Albania to find a country to live. They organized themselves because at the beginning, when they came to Albania, they were living in Tirana, and some of their members were mixing with the Albanian public, and this thing made Maryam Rajavi very nervous because we had hundreds of people who managed to defect, to abandon terrorism and jihad, to marry locally, or some people smuggled themselves into Western Europe. And what was happening 2016, 17, 18 was that the organization was being scrambled. Many Mujahideens were waiting for the opportunity to abandon the cult and to start a peaceful civilian life. However, what happened through their contacts with top Trump officials, people from John Bolton to Rudy Giuliani and different American senators, number one, MEK pressured the Albanian government not to persecute them. Because in 2016-17, we had some MEK members who made sexual scandals here, like raping little children and others. These people were arrested into police stations. In 2018, we had a number of Mujahideens who attacked, beat and hospitalized Mr. Mustafa Mohammedi when he was in Tirana looking for his daughter. And at the beginning, Albanian law was being implemented equally even for these refugees. However, what happened from 2018 and onwards, by using people like John Bolton and Rudy Giuliani, MEK made so many pressures on the Albanian government by threatening the Albanian government not to touch MEK members. So from 2018 to this day, Maryam Rajavi can kill her members inside the camp. She can jail them, imprison them, enslave them, and Albanian police and courts are afraid to act and to implement the law. In 2018, when we had the big scandal of the family of Soumaya Mohammedi, and we had the Mohammedi family, the Canadian, here in Tirana, Albanian secret service and police everybody were against the Mohammedi family because MEK was claiming that these people are Iranian terrorists who have come to Albania to kill us. What the Mohammedi family did is they took a lawyer, they charged MEK with a hostage taking, and they challenged MEK in the court. What happened was that there was huge pressure against Albanian courts not to prosecute MEK for keeping Somaya Mohammedi as a hostage. And on the other hand, MEK, through the different US politicians, blackmailed many Albanian parliamentarians here to come on the side of MEK. I had discussions in 2018 with some Albanian MPs and telling to them, sir, look, we have the Mohammedi family here. They want to meet their daughter. Imagine if Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi and Daesh will take your daughter and will send her to Raqqa or to Mosul. What are you going to do? The answer was, we will do anything to free our daughter from the jihadi camp. I was telling to them, sir, we have a Canadian resident lady who is being held as a hostage in the MEK camp. She is being radicalized. In her interviews, she was saying, I'm ready to go and fight in Iran, etc. And we have this Canadian family who is here, who want to meet their daughter. And what happened was that MEK was not allowing access even to Albanian MPs in their camp. And when some of them were going and visiting MEK and advising MEK and telling to them, please open up the camp, please let this girl to meet with their parents, MEK was publishing fake stories. They were saying the MP X came in our camp and he said, we must fight Iranian terrorism, who is trying to kill the Mujahideens, etc., etc. Something that is very important about people who deal with MEK is that they're professional liars. In 2018, in October, Albanian journalists caught MEK cheating and lying on behalf of European MPs. We have one European MP, his name is Edward Kukan, who is part of the anti-Iran lobby. MEK published a press release on the name of Edward Kukan, sent it to Albanian medias, claiming that Edward Kukan was saying that we have to fight Iranian terrorism, we have to defend the Mujahideens, etc. Albanian journalists, they contacted the office of Edward Kukan and he said, I have no idea of this letter, I don't know who did it. MEK, apart from being a very weird and scary cultish organization, since 2018 has been used by the CIA, I would say, for spreading fake news against Iran. You have probably heard in the past 2 years news as like Iran is planning to put a bomb in Belgium, Iran planning to place a bomb in Paris. We had news in March 2018 claiming that Iran had sent a truck bomb to kill Mujahideens in Albania. Albanian journalists like myself and my colleague Gjergje Thanasi, who come after me, investigated this story, and we found out that there were no Iranian terrorists sent to Albania. There were only 2 Iranian journalists from Irib who were invited to Albania by the world headquarters of Bektashism, who had taken part in a congress about Imam Ali, among hundreds of other delegates, but only because they were Iranians, MEK made them Iranian terrorists. Now, since 2018, MEK is being used a lot by the Trump administration to spread fake news against Iran. They attack everybody. Al Jazeera has documented how they have a troll farm inside their camp, where every day they attack any Western media outlet which writes anything good about Iran. BBC, Al Jazeera, Deutsche Welle, Der Spiegel, you name any Western media, is attacked by MEK, is accused of serving to the mullahs in Iran, and what have you. The desire and aim of MEK is, I would say, two-sided. Number one, Mariam Rajavi wants to preserve her cult. Without her cult, without receiving money from Saudi Arabia, inside the MEK camp, we're going to have a massive riot. Inside the camp, right now that we speak, there are hundreds and hundreds of mujahideens who would like to topple Mariam Rajavi, possibly even to kill her and to escape in freedom. But what Rajavi has done, through the agreement that she and the Americans have signed, she will make life horrible for any soldier inside her camp who will try to do something against her will. Here in Tirana, we have around 40 defectors, people who have abandoned Rajavi, and the life of these people here is horrible. Albanian government does not give them work permits. Albanian government doesn't give to defectors any document to travel outside of Albania. And these defectors who are here, they live a very desperate life, and they are helped only from their families in Iran. Now, the majority of other members who live inside MEK camp, when they see the life of the defectors outside, they say, we better keep quiet, we eat food, and we pass our remaining days inside the camp. So number one, Mariam Rajavi, by breaking so many Albanian laws, by radicalizing people, by calling for war against a foreign country, and with the support of the Trump administration, Saudis and Israelis, is managing to have her cult survive. So she is like Abu Bakr Baghdadi when he was held in Raqqa, and when he was sponsored by Saudis before the Americans bombing them. So she is trying to push her time as much as she can. Number two, MEK is being used by the Trump administration to produce fake news against Iran. If you follow MEK publications, MEK press releases about Iranian terrorism in Europe and what have you, almost 99% of them are fake. In 2018, we had a meeting in the European Parliament where we had one Italian expert on MEK who was describing to us the propaganda that MEK does in Italy on approaching every Italian company that makes business with Iran and threatening and blackmailing them. So their main duty, apart from preserving the cult, is to do anything possible against Iran. But MEK does not attack the Iranian government only. It attacks any kind of Iranian. Since 2018, Albania has become a no-go zone for Iranians. So even if you are an American Iranian, if you are a German Iranian, if you are an Italian Iranian, when you come to Albania, MEK, through the Americans, have instructed Albanian police to immediately detain you. In this moment that I'm talking to you, we have dozens of Iranians in Albanian prisons. We have, let us say, Iranians who from Tehran want to smuggle themselves into United Kingdom. And if they transit themselves through Albania, they are immediately arrested. They are not turned back into Iran, but they are sent to jail because for Mariam Rajavi, any Iranian who is not with her is an agent of Iran, and he should be either imprisoned or killed. We have here the history of Ehsan Bidi. Ehsan Bidi is a defector of MEK who came to Albania in 2013, long time before Mariam Rajavi would come here. He was granted political asylum by UNHCR, and Albania accepted him. Because he was critical to Mariam Rajavi, because we have an opposition to what Americans call the Iranian opposition. Because people like John Bolton, Mike Pompeo claim that Mariam Rajavi, her crazy cult, is the opposition to the mullahs of Iran. Good enough. But here, inside Albania, we have an opposition to Mariam Rajavi. And this opposition is being attacked by Albanian police. People like Ehsan Bidi that I'm mentioning to you is in prison in this moment that I'm talking. He was jailed in August 2019 and was kept in a refugee detention center until August 2020. Albanian government who cannot find any legal excuse to jail him, but Mariam Rajavi accuses every defector as being Iranian agent. So Ehsan Bidi was jailed because Albanian government illegally and by breaking its obligations with UNHCR removed his asylum. Our government asks the defectors to go back to Iran, but these people, they cannot go back to Iran. They have no passports. Iran is not going to accept them, etc. So what our government does, like with the example of Ehsan Bidi, they send them in prison. In August 2020, when the 1 year detention of Ehsan Bidi ended, Mariam Rajavi and her jihadi gang, they bribed Albanian police, who took Ehsan Bidi from the detention center and illegally threw him to the Greek border. Greek authorities, because this was a major diplomatic incident, Mariam Rajavi was putting Albania into a conflict with Greece. Greek army went into full alarm. They were probably even going to kill Ehsan Bidi, because this is what Mariam Rajavi wanted. She wanted to have him thrown to the Greek border and there, by illegally trespassing into Greece, probably to be killed. What happened is that a group of Albanian journalists here and MPs, we contacted different medias from Euronews to local news here, and we told them, look what our government is doing. It is taking orders by Mariam Rajavi, and it is throwing out of Albania the opposition to Mariam Rajavi. Thank God we saved Ehsan Bidi at the time, but since 1 month, if I'm not wrong, Albanian police have detained Ehsan Bidi again as illegal refugee, have sent him into a detention center. And unfortunately for Ehsan, because he's poor and most Iranian defectors here have no money, he cannot hire a lawyer to save himself. In Albania, in this moment that we're talking, there is a big witch hunt against Iranians. If you are a MEK member and you defect, you risk to be sent in jail for any stupid reason. For having a fake ID or anything, you'll go to jail. If you are an Iranian who you do not know what MEK is, but you just happen to transit through Albania, let us say you have a Schengen visa and you take a plane from Tehran to Istanbul to Albania and you want to go to Rome, as soon as you land in Albania, you are going to immediately be detained, interrogated, because for MEK, any Iranian is an enemy, and a good Iranian for Mariam Rajavi is a dead Iranian. This is a horrible organization that Albania is hosting. Many of our politicians, they are not happy about MEK. I presume even our prime minister is not happy. We had previously a foreign minister who was not happy. MEK forced Albania in 2018 to throw out of the country the Iranian ambassador. Mariam Rajavi asked John Bolton, and John Bolton blackmailed our Prime Minister, Edi Rama, to expel from Albania an Iranian diplomat and the Iranian ambassador. The excuse was that he was helping terrorism against Albania. This is not true. The Iranian embassy does not support terrorism here. What were they doing? They were probably helping the defectors, people who need humanitarian assistance, because many of them do not even have food to eat. The Albanian government is not giving the right to work to these people, because Mariam Rajavi wants to kill and eliminate any defector who abandons her jihad. So what MEK has done to us since they're coming to Albania, number one, they have destroyed our legal system. They have destroyed the relations of Albania with Iran. They have taken hostage Albanian foreign policy towards Iran. And this has been done with the support of the Trump administration. We hope that with the coming of Biden as the next American president, the American government will come to its senses and will go back to the policies of the Obama era. During the era of President Obama, MEK was brought to Albania, but they were brought here to be de-radicalized, to assimilate themselves in our society, and to have a peaceful death. But what is happening since the coming of the Trump administration, they are being used as a terrorist tool against not only Iran, but even against the Europeans. We have so many fake news that we hear nowadays in Europe about Iran that will bomb and kill people here and there. And this fake news is being spread by the Mujahideens. They're terrorizing us. They're terrorizing the Europeans. They're blackmailing the Europeans. They're trying to take hostage of our foreign policy towards Iran. They're a very dangerous group. They're suicidal. And I hope that the Biden administration will do its best to de-radicalize them.
Thank you so much. The best thing I ever heard was you use dumping Mujahideen on Albania. And our viewers, first of all, looks like they know you and they love you. They appreciate what you do and did for them. Also, Ms. Khudabande says, shame on Albanian government. Their foreign policy toward Iran is being dictated by a cult leader. And they also ask why police doesn't help them, or why the government of Albania doesn't help those that they got defected and separated from MEK. And you talked about it. You said they are afraid and they have some, money to spend over there, and we know sometimes they can find corrupt people in charge and get on with that. Also, Ms. Ann Singleton says Iranian who escape repression in Iran are the enemies of MEK. Me, myself, was accused and was threatened and was slandered. And, as you said, their philosophy is either you are with us or against us. And let's hope that with the new administration, something will happen and we see better days. If you be kind to stay with Facebook page and answer, or just see the comments that they wrote about you, I really appreciate it. Hope to have you more often and in near future. We have more guests for today, but I'm looking forward to have you on Mardom TV more and more.
Inshallah.
Thank you so much.